Notice, in accordance with the new copyright regulations, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 up. While some of the content we will feature is kid-friendly, the context of the episode is to address adults and inform those said content within the research as consumers and service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well. Rated TV 16 and up. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Brett Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Brett Raven, 29-year veteran of writing for science fiction, comics, and role-playing games, as artist as well, and editor as well. And it is Wednesday, July 14th. That means it is what did you get in this week in the stores. I'll let you know what I got. But before we do that, we have to get into our questions. And Midnight is here, as always. Say hello to everyone. So before we go into the questions, I suppose we have to let the voice see the kitty. Yeah. Say hello, everyone. Yeah. Say hello to everyone, you little monster. It's 6 o'clock. I'm locked in. Okay. We had your attention. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into our questions for the week, or for today, actually. Our first question is, can you ship comics via media mail? This is a question that was asked on Facebook, but I can't find the actual person who posted it because my page refreshed and I lost the question. It was not on my actual page. It was on Kayfabe or some other place on Facebook. Pop Culture Avenger says, hey, Raven, just finished up with work. Okay. Does that mean you're going to be watching at home, or you're ready to drive home from finishing up work? But anyway, the answer to your question is comics magazines have advertising in them. And anything that's got advertising in it, it does not qualify for media mail. But graphic novels and collections that don't have advertising in them do qualify for media mail. So you can send your graphic novels and your trade paperbacks, but you can't send individual single issues via media mail because of the advertising content in that respect. Now, that having been said, you cannot insure media mail, and so why would you want to send your stuff media mail unless you had a bulk subscription order situation where you got at least 10,000 pieces, 10,000 subscribers who are buying your book. Then you would buy a postal license for that, and as long as you had the postal license, you could ship it media mail, and but it would be at a bulk rate discount. And that would be how that would work. So I hope that answers your question, person who asked. Hope I got it covered for you. Our next question is from Mike in Michigan. He asks, did you ever publish the obsolete story you wrote in college about the artificially intelligent house that attacks its owners? Technically, yes. It was published in a what's the word for it? Anthology, prose fiction anthology in '95. It's out of print since, and I have no intentions of reprinting it. I look back on it and it's really bad. So be thankful if you still got a copy of my college version of that story. So yeah, I don't think I'll be having that back out in the market anytime soon. Dave Hyatt is our next person who asks a question. He says, I've noticed that you do not seem to respond to news outlet information, in other words, articles from Bleeding Cool or Newsarama or CBR or such sites. Why is that? I do and I don't. I do not actively go to those sites anymore to keep abreast of what's going on because a lot of it is hype and not legitimate news. But when someone asks me, emails me and says, "Hey, did you see such and such an article?" or directs me to some particular article, I'll read it. And if I think it's something worth noticing, discussing on the show, then I'll do that. But by and large, a lot of what those sites do now is hype up the movies and the TV shows and all the other stuff that really has nothing to do with comics. And I'm just not, I'm not that into it. And the stuff that is talked about the comics, it's kind of weird. Some of the stuff that's talked about, the stuff that's at Ivy or is it? It's ivc2.com. Most of the good data is stuff that you got to pay to read. So if it was on the free site, I'd read it, but it's not. So there you go. Next question. Have you seen Loki? This is the same kind of question as have you seen Black Widow? Have you seen Loki? Are you going to watch Suicide Squad? All these films and TV shows. Basic deal is I don't have time right now, or I don't have the network to watch it on where it's being aired. So that's the main thing. So no, I have not seen Black Widow or Loki or Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier, I guess it's called, or whatever it is. I don't know about Suicide Squad yet. It's just, we'll see. But that's the main deal with that. Our next question. Debbie asks, seeing as I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, this is kind of a pertinent question. What TV shows do you watch regularly, meaning on a week-to-week basis or whatever to that effect, currently? And the answer to that is none that I can think of. Even the pro wrestling that I used to watch regularly, I don't anymore. What I end up doing typically is binge watching stuff on DVD as a rule of thumb instead, because I just don't really have time to make a point at watching TV, I guess you could say. And so, that's kind of what happens. And then what happens then when I get the DVDs is I end up watching 10 or 15 hours straight and burning myself out on something to an extent, just so I can review it here. So that's kind of what happens. Or I'll get videos for movies or whatever, but that's kind of what happens for that. Our next question. Anonymous asks, do you think you would get more views on your channel if you pre-recorded your shows and ran them at preset times regularly? Possibly. I don't know. It's hard to say. I've been told I should try that, but I don't know. I look at my history. I used to have a regular schedule. I didn't do as many shows a week. I only did like 1 or 2 shows a week. And I had them on a regular schedule, and I didn't have different programming that I did now. And it doesn't really seem to change the difference in terms of the number of viewers I get per show, whether it's live or not. So I don't think it makes that much of a difference per se. I think it has more to do with there's just so much more high-profile creators out there who have podcasts that are running opposite me that are watching everybody else's stuff instead of my show. Santos R. from Round Lake, Illinois asks, if you never got into comics, what would you be doing as a career? I'd be writing and drawing, just be in a different field. Most likely be writing science fiction, fantasy, horror novels, maybe drawing role-playing game stuff, other type of work that way. It's commercial art, whatever. If that was, and I still do some of that as well. So it's, I'd just be doing more of that focus, more so than the comics scene, I think. Anonymous asks, do you miss living in different parts of the country that you used to live in? For those of you who don't know, I'm a military brat. I've moved around all over the country, and even after I got out of college, I moved from Michigan to Arizona to Nevada, and now I'm in South Carolina. So I've been all over the place. I guess I'd like to go back and visit some of the places I've been to and used to live, but my experience is that it's not the same. So you miss it. What you miss is what you had back then. And when you go to those places, it's not the same. Like I went to Savannah, Georgia in 07, and I had lived there from 1977 to 82. And we went down there, and my parents and I went down there because I was going to see about going into the Savannah College of Art and Design as an instructor. And that didn't pan out, but it was very strange because, there were a lot of places that were still there 30 years later, so to speak. I mean, it was what we left in 82 and this was 2007. So 25 years later, there was a lot of businesses that were still there, but there was a lot of change as well. And it really wasn't the same place anymore. A lot of the things that we enjoyed about Savannah wasn't there anymore. For whatever reason, whether it was restaurants that were family-owned restaurants that were, the people who ran it either retired or passed away, and the kids or grandkids never picked it up, or it was sold to other places or whatever. That was missing. Certain other establishments that had been there for, literally decades when we were living there just weren't there anymore. And it just changed the atmosphere of the area. And I'm pretty sure if I went back to Michigan, I know Oscoda wouldn't be the same. I know, Oscoda and Greenbush and that whole area where my parents' house would not be the same. I know that where I lived in Illinois is completely changed. It's much more built up population wise. When I lived there was one high school. Now there's like 4 high schools that are in my area that are Grays Lake, so or something like that. So it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if I would miss it. Do I miss it? Yes, but I miss what it was, and if I went back there, it wouldn't be there. So I guess you could say it's the old saying, you can't go home again. So if you have questions, you can ask me. Email me at quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Now, today we had our visit to the local comic shop, and I got an email from my retailer saying that Diamond messed up and didn't ship them part of their shipment. And we had at least one box missing. So how bad did they screw up? Well, I don't know. Let's see. This is all the stuff that they don't have. They didn't get Batman Urban Legends #4, the C cover, Challenge of the Super Sons, cover A and B, which means they didn't get any of the covers for any of the books then. Conjuring Lover #1, which is a second printing. Joker #5, they didn't get their 1 in 25 variant. Nice House on the Lake, #1, that was a second printing. Invincible Sonia, #3. Vampirella versus Purgatory, #5. Skybound X, #2, which is a big, important one for Image, I guess. Aliens Aftermath, #1. Carnage Black, White, and Red, #4. Champions, #8. Conan 23. Excalibur 22. Iron Man 10. Spider-Man Spider Shadow, #4. Spider-Woman 13. Star Wars Dr. Aphra, #12. Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, #2. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, #9. I guess that's what that is. I don't think it's just Mighty Morphin, but I think that's what they mean. But it's in Mighty Morphin, the whole thing. Never Never, #1. quite a bit of stuff here. Rick and Morty, Hotel Immortal #1, Death by Life #3, Berserker #1 in their 5th printing, Eve #3, which is the only book that was on my list to get this week that was missing. 7 Secrets #10, Web of Spider #1, 2nd printing, Way of X #4, X Corp #3, Ninjek #1, No Ghosts in Hiroshima #1, and Orcs #6. I don't know, how many titles is that? Whoops. That's 30 books that they didn't get this week that they were supposed to. And that's not good. 30 titles and whatever amount they ordered them in. So that's a pretty hefty chunk of stuff. Hopefully, Diamond's trying to get it corrected. They say they'll get it by the end of the week, and I hope they do. But, of course, there are competitors who got their copies, and some fans are going to probably go to the other competitors to get the book, which is a shame because that's going to hurt my retailer as a result. But, I kind of get annoyed when Diamond does this kind of stuff. They should be more competent, but it is what it is. Okay, let's get to our reviews for this. Or should you guys want the reviews, or do you want to know what I got this week first? Obviously, Midnight wants to be back on camera again. What's the matter? You want to make sure Doc saw you? You want to make sure Papa did? You want to make sure Pop saw you? Come here. There. Okay? How culture can see you now. Go lay down. You want to lay down? Okay. That's what he wants. What he really wants me to do is feed him, but he has to wait. Anyway, yes. See, he saw you. He said hello. I think what it is last night, I did the podcast, and right after the podcast, I went and took a nap. Only I didn't wake up until 11 o'clock at night, so we didn't have any dinner last night. My dad did feed the kitty, but he didn't have any dinner, and I didn't have any dinner last night. So I think the cat's trying to make sure I'm up to feed everybody today. I think that's what his hang-up is. Which, hey, better than making sure I don't go to sleep, right? But anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and go with reviews first, because there were some reviews from yesterday that I didn't get done. And we'll start with the somewhat gothic and sometimes ugly sketchbook, Volume 1, hardcover book. Art by Gary Shipman, cost $25. Publisher is Gary Shipman. Writer-artist Gary Shipman. It is an art sketchbook released from 2020. I got this in as part of my crowdfunding order with Titan Mouse of Might Volume 2, which we'll talk about in a moment. And what it's about, it's a visual celebration of the more experimental side of Gary Shipman's art. He explores his techniques over several decades in pencil, pen, and ink, and paint. That's a quote from the book's back cover. And what I think of it is, well, I could just look at this book all day long and get lost in it. Well, I definitely prefer his original work over the Marvel DC character work, just in terms of uniqueness and imagination. The mainstream character work is still quite spectacular. And it's more than worthwhile experiencing. I like many of the pieces that have one-page short stories to go with the art. I'm not sure which came first, the art or the stories, but it really doesn't matter. They're very well done. There's a lot of stuff going on, artistically speaking, design-wise. Clearly, he's influenced by the work of Charles Addams and Tim Burton in a lot of the work, but there's also elements of Frank Miller, Neil Vokes, Neil Adams, Bill Sienkiewicz, or Sienkiewicz, I should say, and others that he's picked up and incorporated into his style. I like artists who can do this kind of stuff because it proves that they're not one-trick ponies, and are thusly superior artists in my personal estimation. This is recommended for ages 12 and up. It is a 5-star book. And as soon as the kitty lets me get the book, I can show it to you. There we go. Nice big hardcover. Pretty thick. I don't know. It didn't have a page count on it, but it's over 100 pages. This is the quick personal sketch of the kid with the dart story in there. It's a original sketch in there. And this is the painter side of the story called Dart Boy. And it's about a kid who wanted to play darts, and his mom said, no, it's too dangerous, it's too dangerous. And he played darts with his little sister, and the little sister threw a dart in the back of his head. Whoops, pardon me. Yes, Shipman is excellent. Got my notification today that your copy of Titan was shipped. That's cool. You should get it in a couple days then, hopefully. There's a little story here. It tells a little short story about what happened. That's what I was talking about. The sister throws the dart in the back of his head and explains it. There's lots of little things like that. Just cool one-page pinups. Another image of a kid who found out that there was bugs in the cereal, but he ate some of them and said, oh, darn, I could have had some friends. Now they don't like me because I ate them. I think you can see the Charles Adams, Tim Burton influence in this stuff. Let's go to some of the other work in here. Now, the page on the right of the woman with the baby, that's more of a Neil Vokes type look rather than the Charles Adams, Tim Burton stuff. This is kind of like the woman holding the child is very much akin to the really scratchy open line art that Sienkiewicz is known to do when he does sketch work. This is a nice watercolor piece of Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. And another story called The Fantastic Melting Boy next to it. Some more painterly pieces based on actors in film roles. When you say lettering, I'm not really sure what you mean. If you mean the text lettering, like what's there, that's a typeset. But if you mean some of the other kind of lettering, I don't know. Because there's stuff in here that you can tell. It's like here's a piece that's got different kinds of lettering in it. You can tell that's his, on top of the artwork there. So yeah, it's now I got to show you some of the Marvel DC stuff. It's kind of wonky looking. Yeah, the story lettering is a font, but there's some of the wonky looking Marvel DC stuff. It's cool looking. Don't get me wrong, I like it for what it is. It's just kind of like Jack Skeleton as Spider-Man and Pumpkinhead as the Green Goblin or whatever, or Hobgoblin. And these are a lot of watercolor pieces and stuff like that. And there's a nice Catwoman piece with Batman and Robin, the Joker in the background, Harley Quinn to the side. And there's an Elektra piece, of course, as well over here. So quite a lot of cool stuff in here. I don't know how many more copies he's got left of this. You might want to ask him how many more he has if he's available, because I don't know. I can't remember when I ordered it. I had it as an add-on when I bought the next book we're going to talk about. Well, I don't want to put that there, so I'll put it over here. And our next book is, of course, I believe it is. Hold on, let me check and see what it is first. Yes, it is. Okay. Titan. Mouse of Might, How the Mighty Have Fallen. That's the Volume 2 hardcover, which I also bought for $25. Publishers is PAKKINS Presents, which is Gary Shipman. Creator, Gary Shipman. That means he does everything on it. Genre is anthropomorphic action adventure, released July 2021. What it's about: continuing the adventures of Titan from Volume 1, which was the collected issues 1 through 3. This volume collects issues 4 through 6. Titan is a mouse endowed with skills and abilities beyond those of any normal mouse and has been transported to the world of men. There he must stop the plans of the nefarious Professor Nimoy and the Ryan Research Center before falling victim to their evil schemes himself. In this volume, Titan is captured and his DNA cloned and transferred to a zombified version of himself that he must defeat, as well as help the mice who are being experimented upon by Professor Nimoy. There are some possible story reveals as to why Nimoy is taking the actions that he is, and hints that maybe there's a reason to be sympathetic towards him, but that has not been completely unveiled as of yet. When I think of it, it's a very quick read with lots of action and intrigue. One of these days, it would be interesting to see this series in full color and mass production levels as opposed to the specialized crowdfunded editions. But certainly, Shipman definitely makes a product worth your money. Shipman is constantly drawing the actual story pages on his YouTube channel, so you can actually watch the story unfold as he does it and see the process. I think this helps him with getting backers tremendously and gives him a popularity with his audience without him being negative towards competitors' products, particularly the mainstream market, which I think sets him above his peers in the comics crowdfund scene, because a lot of comics professionals that are ex-Marvel, ex-DC guys that are doing crowdfunding these days, really all they do is bitch about Marvel and DC and how much it sucks, and so buy my book, type thing. And I'm sorry, but that's off-putting to me, and Gary doesn't do that. The work itself is quite enjoyable to read. The pages are fun to look at, both as just a casual reader and as someone who just wants to look at the art and study the design. The story telling structure and the techniques that are being used for different looks. Shipman is a sorely underrated creator in the industry. He demonstrates so many different techniques and styles and knows how to blend them into a whole. Techniques that lesser artists, though perhaps more popular than he is, don't even seem to know about, let alone how to use them to an exceptional effect. You can still acquire this book via Indiegogo on demand at the link below on the screen you see. That is https IGGG Indiegogo me at Titan-2, etc. Pop Culture says he likes the work so much that he also bought the floppies of Titans 1 through 6. In addition to the hardcovers, you're saying? I gave this a 4.5 stars, or did I give it 5? Yeah, it's 4.5. Didn't quite get the 5. There's a few minor flub ups, not that bad, but little typos and stuff in there. I thought should have been caught, but it's not the end of the world. Let's take a look at the artwork for it. This is the artwork that was shown on his Indiegogo platform as well. As you can see, there's a lot of nice technique and heavy blacks. On the page on the left, you see a nice crosshatch in the top right corner of the first page to create shadow line effect, then to the shadow of the body of Titan the mouse himself is there. I love how the computer monitor is refracted, bent, curved. That's a very nice technique that a lot of people would not think to do. They would do a flat screen instead, which is not typically how computer monitors are. There usually is a slight curvature to many computer monitors. Top of the page on the right, you can see some of the Frank Miller influence in that panel, with the mouse body in bed with the experimental stuff. That is a very Frank Miller-esque look to it. I like how, I don't know, I don't watch him produce his pages, so I don't always watch all the techniques he's using. So I don't know exactly how he does some of the stuff he does. But I like the kind of smudging look that he has next to right in this area. I hope I'm showing it. But to the left of the guy's face, in the center of the panel, I guess you could say, it looks like he's smudging it with a finger print or something in that area, but I don't know for sure. Again, just really nice, different types of effects to create shadow and depth perception. This page on the left is just gorgeous. Again, you can see this area on the edges around here that is kind of like cloud effect. That's like I said, fingerprint smudges or something. It just looks really nice. There, over here on the robot arm, the way this whole shading effect is, has a nice Walter Simonson look to it, the way that's done. I like how he takes the keyboard, smashes it over the robot's head, and you got this nice lettering effect that says crash from the keyboard letters. That was a nice touch. got hit pretty hard. Obviously, he's like actually skittering across and tearing through the top of the table and off the edge of the table and through a window. um, just really well done overall. And pop culture says yes, in addition to the actual books. Um, and again, he did draw a lot of the pages for this book live on his channel. That's why I said you could. That's why I think he got some of the popularity pieces on there, was because he did stuff like that. Yep. See, like I say, I looked at it. It had to be fingerprint or thumb smudging. I knew what he was doing, but exactly to what extent and how he goes about it. Different people do it different ways. So yeah, I'm sure that was fun to watch live on the show. But yeah, like I said, I give this a 4.5 out of 5. And last review for this week is Werewolf by Night, New Wolf Rising, trade paperback, $15.99. Publishers Marvel Entertainment. The writers are Taboo, that's the member of the Black Eyed Peas rock band, and B. Earl, that's Benjamin Earl. The artist is Scott Eaton for pencils, Scott Hanna for inks for the interior. The colorist is Miroslav Merva, with additional art by Jeffrey Verege, and cover art by Mike McCone and Jason Keith. There's also some pinups in the back that were like variant covers as well. The genre is supernatural action adventure, and it was released in March of 2021 as the collection. What it's about is it's a new Werewolf by Night story about a Hopi Indian named Jake Gomez, who is starting to come into his own powers as fellow Hopi tribespeople are disappearing mysteriously from the reservation. He and his fellow Indian friend Molly are driving off troublemakers from the reservation with him in his werewolf form when they realize they can and should investigate the matter. What they don't know is that Jake's employer, Life Pharmaceuticals, are who is behind these disappearances. And they are abducting Hopi Indians and then conducting illegal experiments upon them. Enter Red Wolf, who's a former Native American vigilante turned federal marshal, and his partner, JJ, who have come to investigate the disappearances and the reports of a possible werewolf. Of course, Jake and Red Wolf's paths cross, and eventually they team up against Life Pharmaceuticals' techno monsters, but not before Jake is captured and tortured by Life Pharmaceuticals' head of operations, which is basically a brain that can switch and inhabit different cyborg bodies. What I thought of this. Truthfully, I didn't have a whole lot of hope or expectations for this book. Marvel rarely, if ever, interests me these days, and I tend not to care for comics that are written by musicians, wrestlers, actors, etc. So with this having been co-written by Taboo, member of the music group Black Eyed Peas, I really expected this to be nothing but rubbish. So I was going in with a kind of a negative attitude, I'm going to admit that. But I'll admit I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the story. It's actually halfway decent, and from what I'm guessing is Taboo's first professional comics work, it's rather respectable. Now, there's a ton of non-description in the book that bothers me. Somewhere in Arizona is constantly being used, but presumably near the Hopi reservation in the state, since they've given us the fact that he's a Hopi Indian and they're on the res. And having lived in Arizona, I know that means it's the northeastern quadrant of the state, and that the Hopi Reservation happens to be surrounded by the Navajo Nation's lands. So it's very unlikely that a company like Pharma is going to have a base there, an operations group there, without local law enforcement knowing about it, and being somewhat questionable as to what's going on. They would be a key suspect organization if a whole bunch of people were missing like that. Another key point here is that there's a sentiment that nobody cares about the missing Hopi Indians, which in some respects does ring true to real life, but it doesn't go into why such isn't the case. And I think that was a red flag for me in context of the story. I just felt like sometimes the backdrop and environment in which the story takes place is just too generic. Now, that's probably because of my own Native American background and from having lived in Arizona. I didn't live in the northeastern quadrant, I lived in the southwest quadrant over by there was the Arizona Nevada border. Oh, geez. I can't even with the Mojave Indians, but the Mojave tribe. But I did go up to the northeast quadrant where that area is as well. So I'm kind of about it. But that's me, and a general audience probably wouldn't know or care about these things. So maybe it's not that big a deal. I thought Scott Eaton as the penciler was the perfect choice for penciling the series. That Scott Hanna was not the best fit as the inker. Not that he did a bad job. I've just seen Eaton inked better on other series in the past. Ray Christen's inks over Eaton on Creature Commandos for DC back in 2000, for example. I felt like the line work wasn't quite tight or slick enough for what I prefer Eaton's work to look like. Miroslav Merva's characters were okay. Seemed a little bit inconsistent in the color palette and spots, but then he might have been rushed for time on the deadline. Overall, it's a worthwhile read, which is more than I could say for most Marvel books I see these days, for my tastes anyway. Recommended for ages 13 and up. I give it 3.5 stars. And here's some of the artwork from it. And these are like some of the guys that are working for Life Pharmaceutical as security, and they're out in the desert using a 50 caliber machine gun to shoot at rabbits. Really, again on Hopi tribal lands, which again is in the middle of the Navajo Nation. I don't know, it's just kind of a crazy thing. But anyway, here's Molly on a motorcycle coming up and saying, you're on Native American lands doing this stuff. You need to go. And they're all like, yeah, whatever, lady, all right, if you don't want to do it, I tried to tell you. And all of a sudden, you hear this howl, and oh, he's here. And they're like, what the hell was that? And of course, it's Werewolf guy. And he starts ripping them all up, tearing up their motorcycle, tearing up their guns, throwing them around like toys. And they get away in their truck. They peel out of there. And of course, he's kind of in his feral anger state. Now, one thing I did find funny is he changes into a werewolf, but he's got this long braided ponytail because his hair's in a ponytail in the back when he goes to human. I just thought that was kind of amusing. But anyway, werewolf grabs her, and she kind of like plays some music that soothes the savage beast, shall we say, and he goes back to human form. And it is kind of amusing. Like I said, that's like the first few pages of the series. And the art's not bad by any means. Story's not bad either. Like I said, it's enjoyable enough. It was better than I thought it was going to be. So no complaints there. So what did I get this week? That is our next thing. Well, let me get to it. The first thing I got is a graphic novel. This is from Abrams Comics Art. This is Parable of the Sower. This is an adaptation of the story by Octavia E. Butler. And this is drawn by Damian Duffy and written by, adapted by writer John Jennings. I believe that is the correct. Um, Now there is a lot of stuff in here. Um, there's an introduction by Neil Hopkinson. Um, there's a there's the story. There's a question and answer section with the creators. There's notes on the creative process. There's a teacher's guide for using this as a book for your education. To give you a little bit of history of Octavia Butler and her history. Just a whole bunch of stuff. It's a 300-page book, easy, I think. Um, and this is just the first book because there's more parable stories. It's 282 pages, and there is going to be another one following up called Parable of the Talents, as you can see. Um, I'm going to have a fun time reading this, though. But Parable of the Sower is a classic science fiction book by Octavia E. Butler, and masterwork. And I think that the fact that they're adapting these to graphic novels um, to try and get more exposure and get these into schools, get these, on a more, um, I guess you could say, middle school to early high school level, rather than the upper high school to college level, which because her writing is very, um, it's not like highbrow material or anything, but it's very intelligently written, and sometimes it goes over people's heads in their prose work. So having it adapted to comics is probably a good thing. Uh, and it is a 16.99 book. I will. I don't know if I'll get to review this next week. I don't know if I'll get to it, but I will eventually review this. Our next book I got is a one-shot, Mouse Guard, The Owlin Caregiver, and Other Tales by David Peterson. This was $4.99, and it's from Archaea Books, or Archaea Publishing, and Boom Studios. It was distributed by Boom. You wait for dinner. He's hitting me on the arm. I don't know if you guys saw him, but some nice interior art as well there. Of course, Mouse Guard is a much beloved independent series. It's been around for quite some time. If you haven't looked into it, you should look into Mouse Guard. Our next book is Norse Mythology 2, number 2, continuing the Neil Gaiman and Pete Craig Russell adaptations of the Norse myths. It's from Dark Horse, $3.99, and this will get reviewed next week, as will the Mouse Guard book. From Aftershock, creators Ed Brisson and Damien Cosiero, Beyond the Breach. I didn't know if I was going to get this or not. I didn't pre-order it. Like I just picked it up off the rack at the store. It's about a woman who is pretty much ready to commit suicide, and then realizes that she has other things to live for, I guess. And she meets this kid, and she decides she has to protect the kid from the monsters in the woods and stuff. So that ought to be interesting to see how that's going to pan out. Review that next Monday. Of course, we did get Canto number 3, Lionhearted. As you know, I've been following the Canto series, giving it high ratings, so I expect it to be quality material as usual. And we have Tarna. This is 6 of 6. It's exercise 30-page finale to finish the storyline. I hope it's okay. I don't know. Like I said, the last last two issues were kind of so at best, and I'm not really sure that I'm gonna like how it ends, but we'll see. Pop Culture Avenger says, nice Kanto cover. Yeah, it is. That was the original artist back on the book. Zucker. So yeah, Drew Zucker. And there's actually like 3 other covers, but I'm not really into any of them. I look at them inside, so whatever. If people want to have extra covers, they can. Now, of course, I got Titan a while ago, and we just reviewed it a little bit. But when I got my Titan book, I got a patch of the zombie version of Titan. Titan Mouse and Mite sticker, How the Mighty Have Fallen. This is the trading card that was done by the female fan artist. Her name is Melissa Lester, and she was the winner of the fan art contest that Gary had for the character. And they did a nice card, and they give a little bit of information on her in the background on the back side of it. This is another card as well. This is of the character Elva, which I guess is, that's Titan's lover as well. And a little bit of background on that character as well. Mm-hmm. And then they have a Dr. Nimoy card as well, or Professor Nimoy. And he doesn't quite make it look like Leonard Nimoy, but that we know that's kind of what he's trying to do there. Sorry if the camera's having a little bit of problem with getting the zooming in and out there. This is another Titan sticker I got with it, and a bookmark as well. And I also got these are plate prints, I guess, of the 3 issues of the single issues that the 4 through 6 that the hardcover trade collects. So I got all that stuff in addition with the hardcover book. Quite a bit of cool swag, if you will. But that's not all I got this week. I also got this. Let's see what it is. I don't know what it is. I haven't opened it yet. I thought, because it says it's from Kablam Indie Planet, that it was going to be Biff Hunter Monster Hunter. But that campaign hasn't actually finished yet. So I don't know what this is. So let's find out. Of course, it's Gemini box. Oh, okay. I know what this is now. It says Lancet Comics, but it's actually We Are Scarlet Twilight, which I ordered quite a while ago. We had the creator on the show a while back to promote it when he was doing the crowdfunding campaign. I didn't realize he used Indie Planet as his fulfillment. That's kind of cool. Let's see how it looks. I'll end up having to review this, of course, on Monday. got the nice fancy bag that has the kind of sticky backing to it, so that you don't have to tape it. Let's see what we got here. We have advertising for Kablam Printing and Indie Planet, of course, on here, which, nothing wrong with that. And this is not even a fraction of the books they carry. They have thousands of books at indieplanet.com. But you can go online to indieplanet.com and look at all the cool comics that they have available. And of course, on the back side, they're advertising their Kablam digital printing service as well. And they give Kickstarter and Patreon discounts. Awesome. But here is the actual book. And he opted to have the Kablam back cover, which I have no problem with that. Let's see what the printing looks like on the inside. Oh, wow. Okay. I have to really hunt for my name. He has, all the people that backed it. But they're not in alphabetical order. They're just, I guess, maybe in the order we got them. That could be. I'm going to have to change glasses, maybe. But, because I don't remember if I told him to put my name in there or not. But it's cool if he has a nice list of people on there. Offhand, I don't see my name, but it doesn't matter if I'm in there or not, because, not a big deal. Obviously, I ordered it. But let's take a look at the print real quick. It looks nice. It looks solid. Cut on the book is nice. Now, why am I talking about the printing side? Because a lot of people complain about Indie Planet, Kablam, unjustly, in my opinion. So I wanted to show you that the quality is there. You see there's no smudging, or I know my camera isn't necessarily holding it nice and clear, but there's no digital loss on the printing for the text or anything like that. So there's another whole list of insiders, so I'm probably on that list as well, somewhere in there. So that's cool. Again, I don't need to hunt down every single one of them, through there. I would say there's probably a kind of heavy scene here a little bit. He puts his fist through someone's body. Probably a little bit more 13 and up, 16 and up book as a result for that. Rips his heart out. Oops. I would not say that's. But overall, it looks pretty cool. I look forward to finishing to reading this whole thing and seeing how it comes out. Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting. And then again, there's even more on the back inside cover of people who supported the book. So, yeah, I'm somewhere in there, I'm sure. No worries. And I also got, apparently, they sent me the Captain Lancet cover as well. It's the same book, I'm sure. Yeah, it's the same story. It's just the alternate cover. So I got both covers. And that's cool. So I'll be looking forward to reading this and talking about it on Monday. So that's everything I got today for this week. Didn't get any more in the mail. I am expecting some things in the mail, obviously. Like I said, I was expecting that Biff Monster Hunter book. The campaign actually ends this week, so it'll be a while before I actually get the book. But maybe Barry Gregory will be on the show. I asked him if he wanted to be on the show tomorrow. And if he does, then we'll have a late night show tomorrow at 9 p.m. If I don't hear back from him or he doesn't have time to do it, because people are always got stuff planned right before their campaigns ends, they're usually booked solid with appearances on other shows. Then I'll just have a live draw tomorrow sometime. I'm not exactly sure when just yet, but it'll be a short one, only about an hour and a half. So, if you have questions, you can contact me at lewis.brightraven on Facebook, at lewisbrightraven2 on Twitter. You can look at some of my own artwork at deviantart.com/brightraven. You're watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven on YouTube and on Facebook, but if you want to watch the regular channel or catch previous episodes of the show, I'm on YouTube. And you can also email me questions at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer questions about comics, commissions, whatever. And if I don't get back to you on gmail.com via email or answer your question online, you can always try me at lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. Have a good evening, Raven. Yep, you have a good evening too, because I have to hurry up and cook dinner and watch, because Friday I'm doing that marathon discussion about the movie, not movies, the TV series Wolf Blood. I just got the DVDs from the library. They finally came today. So I have to watch about 30 hours of TV between now and Friday night. Plus, I have to watch the original season 2. So it's like, I'm going to be busy. So that is the case. So we'll see you next time. And have a good one, everybody.